Hey everyone, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I'm Bueller. Today is a very special comic creators and coffee.
Hey.
This is the first episode, and we're going to talk about independent comics. And I'm not alone. I have a guest.
Hi there.
Justin, how are you?
I'm great.
Justin, tell them who you are.
I am the writer and creator of Finger Guns from Vault Comics.
The brand new indie title that's taking over. Finger Guns Across America.
That's right, Finger Guns Across America.
That's what you're doing.
Yep.
This is your creator-owned, is that correct?
Yeah.
Creator-owned, independent title. You came up with it, and you're here today to talk about independent comics and your comic as well, correct?
Absolutely.
But we got to have some coffee.
We got it.
So I have my Bigfoot mug, of course, and it's nice hot coffee.
Yeah. I got Nerds Rule.
Nerds Rule.
From Bueller himself.
That's actually from Mocha Express, the official coffee shop of the channel. They give us all the coffee and the beans and stuff like that. So it works out really well. I don't have to pay for coffee, so it's great. That's one goal in life I wanted, not to pay for coffee.
Killed it.
Next one is not to pay for comic books. That's the next goal.
That's the day.
So, in this series that we're going to be doing, like I said, this is the first episode of Comic Creators and Coffee. We're going to be talking about your book, but we're also going to hit on the subject.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and jump into your book real quick.
Let's do it.
First things first, we're going to do a giveaway. And I'm just going to tell the audience right now, we have a copy of Finger Guns #1 autographed. And this is going to be your guys'. Just watch the video. During the video, we'll tell you how to win. And we'll be giving that away next week.
Yeah.
We'll mail it to you worldwide. We'll pay the shipping. No big deal.
You got it.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk about Finger Guns.
Let's do it.
So you are the writer.
I am.
Do me a favor. Run down the cast of people who helped you create this title for me.
Yeah, so as far as like cover credits, we've got our artist, Val Halverson, he's based out of the St. Louis area. Great, he's a first-timer as well. This is his first regular series.
This is your first one too, right?
Yeah, we're both first-timers. Knocked
it out of the park. First time. I talked to him earlier, last weekend.
Yep.
I said, this is your first pitch, right?
Yes.
And you got picked up.
On my first try.
That feels pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know how blessed I am for that. I know that I have friends in the industry that have been pitching for years and not had a book picked up. So I feel very, very blessed that first time, first try. But
that's pretty awesome. It's only downhill from here.
Yeah, that's the problem. I peaked in high school.
Yeah. At least you peaked, right? There you go. There you go. Besides the artist, we also got the colorist and the letters. Can you tell me about them?
Yeah, Rebecca Nolte. She's been fantastic. She brings these pages to life a lot of the time. Like, obviously Val's work is fantastic and it's the groundwork, but like, man, she works beautifully with Val's line work. So she's been awesome. She's based out of actually like Dublin, so it's kind of fun of how how far apart we all are, because our letterer Taylor Esposito, he's out of Jersey, so like
all over the world.
East Coast, Midwest, West Coast, and even in Ireland.
All these people come together and put together one book, and here it is.
And the publisher's in Mountain Time too, so it's like literally all the way across the states. We've got Adrian Wassel, who's our editor in chief at Vault Comics, and he's been amazing from the get-go as well. So
that's awesome. A lot of pieces to the puzzle to make this happen.
Absolutely.
And it got done, and it's out there right now for you guys to go buy. You guys can go buy it and add it to your pull list at your LCS. That's what I recommend doing.
Yeah, issue 2, by the time you see this video, issue 2 will be out within 2 weeks or less, I think.
Nice.
So,
very cool.
March 25th at your local shop.
So let's talk about the book itself. We kind of talked about the creators that came together. We got a couple different characters. We have Wes, and Wes isn't alone. We have Sadie as well. She's the other character, the other main character, co-main characters, correct?
Yeah, co-protagonists, I guess we could say.
So let's get into the book itself. Tell me the concept of the book. It's basically, from what I read, it's finger guns that change people's attitude, I guess you'd say, or personality, kind of.
Emotions.
Emotions,
and it's a very emotional book because of that. It's about these two kids. They discover that they have the power to manipulate people's emotions using finger guns, and it's as you can see, like on the cover, it's a matter of one finger gun, like one finger for your finger gun or two, and that does different things. And then and we'll explore some other ones as we go along as well.
Is there going to be a third finger gun in there?
Well, there's
finger gun.
You'll have to wait and see what it is, but there's more powers to be seen, or at least more. So like the way that I wrote it, it's the one finger calms people down, and then the two angers people. So it's reverse effects, and there will be other emotions manipulated as we go along for sure.
Nice. Now this book, I read it a couple times. The first time I read it, I saw the humor in it and enjoyed that. I read it a couple other times, and it's a little bit deeper than that. There is some, they're dealing with the parents. Both the kids are dealing with their parents. And Sadie it does not seem like it's a very happy household. Like there's some stuff going on there, that the kids probably shouldn't experience. As far as Wes, his household, it's almost like a latchkey type thing. The parents aren't really involved. Obviously, I take it that most of us kind of look at experiences that maybe we encountered or been a part of type thing. Does a little bit of that bleed over to some of the story?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of one of my favorite things about this book is I feel like it's really relatable to just about anybody that's gone through puberty or, had, been mad at their parents or anything like that, because, these kids both have troubled home lives. They are very different, like you said. Wes has an absentee father. We're not sure about the mom yet. You'll find out more about her as we go as well. And then, Sadie's parents are a little bit more direct with their abuse, or at least one of her parents for sure. It's a little bit more obvious and a little bit more problematic from the get-go. And you see that towards the end of issue 1, and we pick right up with that in issue 2 as well. So
nice. So how long have you had this concept? I mean, this is an original concept. This is not like anything else I've seen before, and that's kind of what attracted me to the book. Is it's hard to come up with something original. My father always told me try to have an original thought. It's almost impossible to do.
It's not easy, folks. I dreamt it.
You dreamt it?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Right? I'm a big, like the way I usually tell people, like I'm a big dork, and I use finger guns for fun all the time because they're fun.
Okay.
But yeah, so like that probably I guess played a bit into why the dream came to me. But like I just dreamt that from like a first person experience, I was essentially how I see Wes in the story, and Wes is heavily based on, or at least like a lot of his traits. He's very similar to myself, and Val has really gravitated towards him as well. As he's a trans man who's going through like his second puberty right now, and so like he's right at that perfect kind of like, oh yeah, like this awkward kid, I get it, kind of thing. So like we've both really attached to him a lot, and like I could affect people's emotions using my finger guns, and then there was like another person that could do it, and then I woke up and I wrote it down and was like, what the hell can I do with this? This is a weird concept, but then SABS Cooper, who she does have a credit on our book. She's not a co-writer anymore, but she was with me very early on in the process, and she had to leave the project, unfortunately. But she helped me really sit down and go like, no, it's not just a silly, weird, goofy thing. Like it can be more than that.
Yeah.
And like I really like this idea, and I was like, oh well, if somebody else likes it, then let's do it. And her and I started working on it a bit, and it became what it is now.
I have to say, you probably have a notepad and a pencil right next to your bed, right?
I actually use my phone.
Okay.
Same basic thing. Yeah, I do. Like in case I wake up, I've got my note app, quick access. I've done it before. I've woken up 2 a.m. That's pretty cool. Written it down, roll back over, go to sleep, so I don't forget. Because I've tried to remember. You can't.
You can't. They're gone within like a couple hours. It's gone. And you try and it's gone.
Yeah, and like you'll have like a loop, and then you'll just be like, could have been. What could have been?
What could have been. That's right. One thing I've always been interested in, you're a writer. Mm-hmm. You are now a writer. Is that kind of cool to say that? You're a writer?
Yeah. And actually, for anybody watching who is hoping to be a writer, who considers themselves, what's the term that they always say for like a potential writer or whatever, like somebody who's like wants to break in but like isn't officially writing anything. You're a writer. One of my good friends, Michael Marisi, who writes a lot of books with Vault, I think he's had 3 books with Vault now, and he's done a lot of great Star Wars stuff. He's a really excellent writer. When I was at Emerald City Comic Con last year, 2019, and I was pitching this book to Vault that weekend, and I told him, I was like, yeah, like I'm here, I'm trying to be a writer, and he's like, no, you are a writer.
That's awesome.
And like that was a really big thing for me to be like, yeah, like if you're out there hustling and you're doing the thing and you're trying, you're doing it. You are a writer. So I like to think of it that way.
I like that point of view. That's awesome, man.
Right.
Back to the writer.
Yeah.
You're putting this all together. You're seeing this in your mind. Now you have an artist, and you guys got to work together. That process interests me, how that goes. I mean, how do you take what your thoughts and explain that to said artist and make that person understand what you're trying to say? I've always been fascinated by that. How was that experience?
It's kind of like you got to find your artist, and you go, this is what the story is, and then you got to hope that they're like, that's dope, let's do that.
Yeah,
I get it. And Val very much did. Like, he was just like, yeah, that sounds really cool, and like they'll usually start riffing on like how they see it, and then as long as that matches up, because like I remember one time, I have a story that I'm pitching around right now, and I sent it to an artist, and it was an artist that like I didn't think would be a good fit. I was like, I don't know, blah blah blah. And then that artist sent back to me like, oh yeah, I see like this and this aesthetic with this and this, and I was like, that's exactly what's in my head. Yeah, let's do it. Like it's crazy how that works. And since we started working together, it's kind of been, it's hard to describe, because like he kind of just does what I want him to do without me telling him to do it almost. Yeah. It's kind of natural for him. We're very much kind of like, we've been joking that we're drift compatible, and so it's just like
a great movie.
Yeah,
Pacific Rim. There you go. It's awesome.
I love it. So yeah, it's been remarkably easy, and like I'm sorry that that's not a more in-depth answer on how to like tell you to work with an artist, but it's just kind of a matter of finding the right artist that gets your vision.
Very cool.
He's basically just read the script and just goes for it, and like I'm pretty vague on my scripts. I like to think that I give my artists a lot of room to breathe, because I trust that they know a page design better than I do. They went to school, or I practiced that a lot more than I have. I'm just a dude who used to read comics a lot, and now is trying to write them. So he just kind of, like I'll say something like, oh, Sadie looks at Wes with like a look of dismay or something, and he just gets it.
That's pretty cool.
And every once in a while, there's a page that's complicated in how to describe it, and I'll have to like do a horrible sketch for him or something like that.
So I was going to ask you, do you have any artistic ability yourself?
No,
stick figures
all the way. I'm like square boxes and stick figures.
There you go.
And label, like I'll do a stick figure, an arrow pointing, this is Sadie, and over here is this, and it's bad. It's bad, but I got to do what I got to do.
Very cool. We it's kind of a hard combination to put together in one body, to be honest, for artist and writer. Some people can pull it off.
Yeah.
It's not easy though.
Yeah. There's the Daniel Warren Johnsons of the world that can do it. But
there you go. Why Vault Comics?
Vault Comics is dope. That's why.
There you go.
I've been a fan. I used to review comics on YouTube, and I won't tell you the name of the channel.
I'll put a link down below.
I've unfortunately showed him, so he might. Back when I used to do that, we got on Vault Comics, the bandwagon early, with Fissure and like all the early stuff, and those guys, Adrian and Damian Wassel, who started that company, they're brothers. They're the publisher and editor in chief. It's their company. They're very passionate about comics and what they can do, and that spoke to me.
Yeah.
And so I went to them first to see if they would like the idea, and they did, and so here we are. But yeah.
Very cool. I'm going to show a couple of Vault comics, because actually I'm a big fan as well.
Absolutely.
Let me go ahead and show a few of those. You're probably familiar with these. Money Shot. Yeah. That's the homage cover of the Fantastic Four book.
Heck yeah.
The Plot, a great one.
One of my favorite. That's co-written by Michael Morisi, who I just told you about, and Tim Daniel, he's the lead designer for Vault. And,
it's horror comic, one of the best.
Yeah, legit.
Another one, Mall. I like that one.
Michael Morisi again.
Yep. And Creature Feature.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorites.
My buddy Elliot.
Yep, I like Elliot. Elliot did Midnight Vista. That was one of my favorite books. And
That's
now
so
he's
good.
doing this one. So
Yep.
we'll put yours back up there on the front there.
That's better.
There you go, man. I'll put it back up on the front, But we'll have the show vault and a little bit of love, because they're putting up some really good titles right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they're just knocking everything out of the park. There's no book that they do that I would consider bad.
Yeah.
There's some that are like less for me than others,
Sure.
but none of them are bad because those guys just understand what a good comic is.
Yeah. So let me ask you about the process. You just talked about going to Vault and pitching your idea. They said yes. Okay. What happens then? What is the process when they say yes?
You wait a long time.
Really?
Yeah. I actually even got lucky, man. My book wasn't supposed to be out yet. It was due to some other unfortunate circumstances that I was able to get. Like, my book was going to come out later this year, but it was going to be like end of the year. Now we're launching the beginning of the year, and that was actually due to some of my footwork of pre-writing the book. That's why we were kind of like the top choice to replace another spot that had to get moved. So yeah, behind the scenes crap. And so I waited and waited and waited, and then worked with Adrian on what artist we wanted to get. We had a few people on the list, and then once we went with Val and got him under contract, and he just started drawing the book, and it's just a matter of then it's like, okay, well, turn in a script, and you get set up with we use Slack to communicate, so there's you download that and you get all the codes, and then you set up stuff for invoices and things like that. Like there's a lot more paperwork than you would think, and then just start working on. You sit with your editor, Adrian in my case, and just go, okay, like, let's get basic roadmap, let's figure out how we want to launch it, and then we'll you go from there, doing one script at a time. And I send it to him, and then he sends it back with a bunch of notes, and then I try to fix those, and then I fail, and he does it again.
How many times, man? How many times you sent it back?
My first issue, I think I had to do 4 drafts.
Okay.
Which I'm told was on par with one of Chris Sabella's books.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm not that bad. I
So
guess.
do you keep the original draft for you?
I definitely have some of the older drafts. I don't think I saved over too many of them. And I know one of my very old, like if it's still alive, I have the tablet that I originally wrote the first scripts that like weren't official.
Sure.
I have that, and it probably has some really bad writing stored on it somewhere.
That's all right.
Yeah, when Sabs and I were working on it early on, it was very like stream of consciousness, just like no breakdown of panels or pages. Barely even putting down dialogue for what character says what, and just kind of like go until we got like the basics, and outline the whole thing. So
was there anything that surprised you about the process? I mean, this is, like I said, it's your first book, the first time ever. This whole experience is brand new.
Yeah.
Was there anything you weren't aware of? You've been a fan of comics, you've been talking comics, you enjoy comics.
Yeah, I think one advantage I had going in was I had a loose familiarity with how making comics works because I did the YouTube thing, and I've talked to so many other writers over the years, and I've been interested in it, so I've talked to them about it. So not a lot caught me off guard. I think a lot of it was kind of the level of patience that you need to have, like how much it is actually hurry up and wait. It's a lot of like, you're waiting, there's nothing going on, and then okay, I need this script in next week, or something along those, like hurry up, and then when that's done, you're like, okay, we got it done, are we good? And then it's like, okay, we're good for like 3 more weeks or something like that. It's a lot of hurry up and wait, a lot of patience. And then one cool thing that I like to point out is like, when it came down to picking an artist, I was like, oh, like, these people do amazing art, why not go after them? And it's like, well, that person likes drawing huge bombastic action scenes, and that's their thing, and this book is not that. So like, that's not a good match, like thinking more like that instead of like, oh, well, look, I just go grab Daniel Warren Johnson, or like whoever the best artist that I can think of that will be willing to work with me.
Sure.
That's not necessarily the best way to go about it. It's like, okay, what artists like drawing conversation and emotion? Or or if you have a big bombastic one, you don't want somebody that prefers quiet moments to that, and force them to draw these huge action scenes that they're not going to enjoy doing, because it shows when people care about what they're doing, when they enjoy what they're doing. So you want to focus on that more when you're searching for collaborators, especially like if you're starting out and you're like, oh, I've got this idea for like a fan comic of Venom.
Yeah.
And then like you go find somebody who like doesn't care about Venom at all and try to make them, get them to do it. They're not going to be interested. Yeah.
So you talk about waiting. Just a lot of waiting going on. The day comes. This shows up at your door or wherever. The first time you see it, you open a box. I don't know what your experience was. The first time you held it in your hand, what was it? What did it feel like?
It was pretty surreal, for sure, because it was a real thing at that point.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this isn't like an idea or a dream or something that can get ripped out from under me. It's real. It's there. It's happening. It exists. And so that was awesome. I'm personally like a big fan of how comic books smell. So like, I flipped one open and went through.
Did it smell good?
Smell. Yeah,
there you go.
Great. Fresh off the press.
It was the best smelling comic ever, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So things like that, definitely sat there for a minute and just looked at all 3 covers. It was just like, this is insane. You know, what is my life now?
It's a proud moment, probably.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Did you go out and celebrate?
I did. Not necessarily like that day, because it had kind of become real. But then like when I got those, definitely like just kind of strutted around the house a little more that day.
Yeah.
And then the celebration happened like the night before it launched. That
Very
kind
cool.
of stuff, where I went out, had a couple of drinks with some friends.
Awesome, man.
Had a good time with my wife, things like that. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. Well, you know what? It's pretty awesome. I mean, to hear you break it down from the start to finish. I don't know if there's a lot of stuff out there, videos out there that kind of break it down like that. So I appreciate you taking the time to kind of fill us in on your very first book.
Yeah. No,
this is the start of a very long relationship between me and him, because I have a good feeling that there's going to be a lot more books coming down.
I certainly hope so.
There you go. So, but people can pick up this book, Finger Guns, at their local comic shop. Like I said, see if they have this first issue in stock. Number 2 will be out in a couple weeks. And it's a monthly title, correct?
Yeah. We're hoping so.
Sure.
Like it's not all done. I don't want to make false promises, but we're hustling. We're trying for sure to make sure that it's on time.
Awesome.
Monthly. Issue 3 should hopefully be done here very soon and to print on time. So
very cool. And not only the book, but you can get your Finger Guns t-shirt available. I just saw it on Facebook today.
Yep.
I shared it. I was like, that's cool, man. You got his own t-shirt.
I appreciate that, by the way. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. But I'll leave a link to the t-shirt. It's like $20.
Yeah.
And help support some finger guns, right?
Yeah, dude. If you buy one, like, just send me pictures on Twitter of it. Like, I'll retweet that. I'll like it. Everything. That's so awesome. I can't wait to see those out in the wild.
I'm gonna have to get one.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
So let's switch gears. Like I said, we're just gonna talk about indie comics in general.
Because they're awesome.
They are awesome. I'm actually finding on my pull list, I'm adding more and more indie books. I looked at my stack like last month, because what I usually take all my books for the month, I put them all in one box, and at the end of the month I go through them. My indie pile is larger than Marvel and DC. It's never been that way, but now it is.
Yep.
And I'm happy to say it is. So let's talk about it. So why do you think we're seeing such a surge in indie comics?
Yeah, I think it's because they're just richer stories. I mean, you can do a lot with the big 2 characters, and it's great, but you are kind of chained down by continuity. You're chained down by, heavy editorial and, like, what they're hoping to do at the time. You got to fit into what's going on. So, like, it's just, there's so many more limitations on what writers and artists can do with those characters and those stories. And, a lot of times they end up doing stuff that they don't even want to do, that just editorial wants to do. And we all know that doesn't always work out for the best. So I think just people are figuring out that, like, when creators are allowed to just bring their vision to life as they see it, it's much better for the story.
Yeah.
And so it stands out more. And then, you have more talented artists coming out left and right that are able to pick up an indie book and make it look freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
And so indie books, it's not a dirty word anymore. It's not really like, those indie books over there that were made in somebody's basement that, they're trash and like whatever. It's not like that anymore. It's like legitimate talent coming out of everywhere.
Yeah.
And just telling like the best stories that they have ideas for, and that publishers are taking notice, and so it's awesome.
So you're talking about creators, and then we're going to jump to a different question. Do you think creators of mainstream titles secretly want to focus on creator-owned independent titles?
Yeah, to an extent. Like, everybody wants to play in the sandbox,
Yeah.
right? Everybody wants to get that Marvel DC, at least like dip their toe in,
Sure.
try it out. Everybody's got like one, obscure character that they
Yeah.
have like a story that they hope to tell for. I've got one, or 5. But I think ultimately, like, even people who are at the top, like, they love the freedom that comes with having an image title
Yeah.
and getting to just do what you want to do with that book. And so, yeah, I think it definitely, there's a lot of drive to create your own stuff, because even when you get to do a monthly Spider-Man book, you're still stuck with those characters, that world, the continuity of what's going on,
Yeah.
unless you get like an Elseworlds title, or like a Black Label,
Sure.
or whatever, whatever the modern day interpretation of that is right now. My ideas for like DC and Marvel characters are definitely more akin to miniseries. Like, that's what I would prefer if I were to get that opportunity. I would hope to get to do like a 5-issue miniseries about like OMAC,
Nice. Nice.
something like that.
So one of the creators right now, really popular, James Tynion.
It's Tynion.
Tynion.
I have heard
Thank
it
you.
said by the man himself. It's James Tynion the Fourth.
James Tynion the Fourth. Right now he's doing Batman. That's DC's main title.
Yep.
And he's doing a great job on it.
I've heard good things. I haven't read it myself, but
It's really good. But then he has Something is Killing the Children.
yeah, I
which
just
is like
picked that up.
one of my favorites.
It's so good.
I read them both. He does a great job on both, but you can tell his heart is in Something is Killing the Children.
Yep. It's just, yeah, I mean, there's some, like, you got very passionate creators for Marvel and DC characters. You
Yeah.
got Donny Cates, loves Venom. He loves Venom. He's writing things that was his fan fiction when he was 11 years
Yeah.
old, and that's great. And I'm sure he will stay on Venom for as long as they let him. And
I think they're going to let him stay on there for a while.
quite a while. Things like that. But yeah, I think it's just, you can usually tell when something is just birthed from your head, then you know it better and you care about it so much. It's like a baby, and you're breathing it to life and bringing it for everyone else to enjoy.
Yeah. Another question, Image, do you consider them indie publisher or mainstream?
I consider them. Yeah, that's a good question. It
We
really
actually
is,
asked this of
because
our audience about a month or so ago, and it was kind of a mixed bag what we got reaction.
I would say ultimately they're still indie, because they are creator-owned books.
Mm-hmm.
Those are people's visions, unaltered, almost entirely by, like, there's very little editorial at Image, very little.
Yeah.
There obviously is editorial, but they really let people do what they want. I mean, that's kind of why you see some slip-ups every once in a while, where you're like, wait, how did that racist thing get in this book? Oh, because nobody editorial. So it is, I would say ultimately it's indie still. It's just definitely, the biggest of the indies.
Yeah. They have, as far as what I remember, their trade paperbacks, they're like the number one in trade paperbacks for sales. More than Marvel, more than DC. Does that surprise you at all?
No, they make them $10.
Yeah.
And they're smart to do that. It makes them really accessible, and then people have a lot of trust for Image. They were kind of like the big thing for a long time, and now they've fostered amazing stories like Saga, Wicked and Divine. These huge epic tales of just pure awesomeness.
Yeah.
And so like people trust it, and so and a lot of people don't buy single issues. I actually recently had to stop buying single issue. I get a couple of number ones here and there. If I have like a buddy who has a book coming out, I'll support that in singles. But like having a $10 trade versus an $18 trade from DC, or a $24 trade from Marvel, if it's like a big one, it's just way more accessible and easy. And then the stories are so diverse.
Yeah.
And as a comic book retailer, it's really easy for those guys to just be like, hey, $10 gets you this whole story and it's really dope. Check out Saga.
There you go.
And then you're like, oh, adult Star Wars. Thank you. and then you buy 7 more.
Very adult Star
Yeah,
Wars.
very adult Star from page 1.
Page 1 hooks you right there, man. I remember opening that book and I was like, oh my,
Yeah, you're like, there's the tone of this book.
There you go. So where do you see indie books in 5 years? Just besides multiple titles from you.
Yeah, obviously.
In 5 years, where do you see indie books?
Man, where I would like to see them is definitely more prominent. And there's a lot of crazy moving parts in this industry right now, where there's rumors of DC and Marvel merging, or DC going under and being bought by Marvel, right? Or, some of the craziest rumors that we've ever had in this industry, where I don't buy into that. I think DC Comics will always be around and it'll be its own thing. But sales are down, they're doing big changes. A lot of those changes don't work. New 52, we saw what happened, right? Yeah. Things like that. So, and now Dan DiDio's out and things like that. So there's a lot of things changing at the top. There's a lot of problems where people think that the industry's dying. So things need to change, and I want to believe that they will, because I love this industry and I want to believe that it'll always be around. But I think to keep living and growing, it does need to change. So I'm hoping that indies become a bigger thing, and I hope that more people start noticing that half of what you watch on television is an indie comic book brought to you by people that read it and you have no idea.
Yeah, I just saw a commercial for Vagrant Queens.
Oh,
I was that's an indie book. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I think it's on the Sci-Fi Network.
Yeah, issue 2. Actually, I just went through the final proof the other day. And there's an ad for Vagrant Queen TV show in the back of my comic.
That's awesome.
How cool is that?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about this one. So we did an episode about are comic books too expensive? Okay. For the longest time, you were buying comic books. You were on the other end. Now you're a creator.
Right.
Do you think comics are too expensive?
I think they certainly can be. I remember back when I was still reviewing, so this must have been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now, I think, which is weird. But I remember Marvel released a special of Deadpool. It was like an 80-page special.
Sure.
They retailed it at $10.
Yep.
And everybody went nuts. And I think rightfully so. $10 is way too much for a comic, I feel like $3 isn't too much. $4 is pushing it.
Yeah.
And if it's like a big 60-page special, I'm willing to fork over $5. But if you go past $5, you're pulling on my wallet a little too hard. I mean, these things used we're not there anymore, but these things used to be 10 cents. And for a long time they were a quarter forever, and then suddenly it went from a quarter to $1, and then $1.50, and now here we are at $3 and $4 on the regular. And I get inflation, but also while there is inflation, there's not much cost of living adjustment anymore in our country or our world in general. So I just hope they stay where they are.
Yeah.
I think that they're affordable. You can get a lot of comic books for $3 each, and have a very wide variety of a lot of stuff that you like.
Sure.
You might not get everything that you want. I used to admittedly have 90 titles on my pull list,
dude.
like an insane person. So I was dropping $50-$60 a week, and that's too much. Don't do that to yourself or your wife, because she'll strangle you. But I think that for $20-$30 a week, if that's what you can afford, you can get plenty of great comics. And if you can't afford that, then trade, collect.
Sure.
You want to support the books that you love in single form for sure. But if you can't, you can't. And if you get a $10 or a $15 trade and read it that way, that's still great, and you're going to get great stories.
So do you see indie comics just taking over? I mean, I enjoy it. Like I said earlier, I'm surprised at how my collection has changed.
It does that. I think that's what it is. I think the more that you read, especially if you look at it from a critical point of view, you'll really start being drawn more and more to Image. And then once you get drawn to Image, you'll get drawn to Vault or, any number of those, around that same tier, Aftershock Comics,
Boom Studios.
Yeah, Exact Boom, IDW even, and, you'll start checking out, Black Hammer from Dark Horse and things like that. And, that's when you start going, oh, there's so much more. And I think the thing that people are doing more is that instead of following Batman and reading 5 different Batman books every month, like DC wants you to, people are following Donny Cates.
Yeah.
And they're going, okay, I'm going to follow what he's doing. And so, like, he's got 2 indie books coming out this year. I expect them to explode because everybody's going to follow him there.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that's probably what's really creating a lot of that is people are just, the more you read, the more you realize, like, oh, these stories on average are better.
Yeah.
And it's new characters that you don't have precognitions about, anything like that. So I don't expect Marvel or DC, especially Marvel, but I don't expect them to go away.
Yeah.
But I do expect probably maybe 10 years from now, I'd like to see like a big increase in the market share for the indies. You know, the best that you can hope for right now, I think Image has like a 10% share, and like that's considered huge.
Yeah.
You know, because Marvel has almost, I think, 45% market
It's up
share.
there.
So like that's nuts,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's sustainable over a long period of time, especially as more and more people follow creators over characters.
Yeah. I find that through my experience, I really enjoy the stories on independent titles. I just really do. I mean, that's what I look forward to every week is checking those out or something new. And I think a lot of people are focusing on that and then going to like the Marvel or DC books for more of a spec type thing. I think that's kind of what's happening. People are still buying Marvel and DC, but they're like, oh, this is the first appearance of a character. And it's a lot more of that.
There's a lot of speculative.
A lot of that stuff. And then for the stories, not that there's not good stories for Marvel and DC, because there's some great ones.
Yeah.
But the stories are just flat out better on independent books right now.
It's true.
I mean,
man.
I don't mind saying it, and obviously you're an independent artist, so you're gonna say it. So
yeah, I'm doing way better work than Donny. But like another big thing is like, I mean, say you're reading Detective Comics and you go and like, you know, they kill another Robin. You go, okay, well, they've killed another one. They've done this before. They always come back. It's comics, right?
Yeah.
It's DC. If I kill Sadie in issue 2, you're gonna be like, what the frick?
Yeah, what's going on?
Is she coming back? Was that real? You know, like, you don't know because it's not a character that you have preconceived notions about, and it's not a story or like, and it's not monthly comics. You know,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, like, remember when like Scott Snyder killed Batman? He killed Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Right. All of us, we were like, he's gonna be back.
There you go.
And he was.
Yeah,
and
he
we were
was.
right.
Didn't take too long.
Yeah, like 2 issues later.
There you go.
Like, yeah, it takes a little bit of the fun out of it.
Yeah. So, in the comics, that's where it's at. Right now, I think it's a great time in the industry to get on board of independent comics and stuff.
Absolutely.
The stories are great. They're great. Contain story arcs. You don't have to read some other books to know what's going on in this book.
Exactly.
It's right there.
Yeah, pick up number 1.
Let's switch gears again.
Okay.
And let's get to know you a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay?
Let's do it. I like
Besides-
long walks on the beach.
I'm not surprised. You look like you do.
Yeah.
Besides your book, do you have a favorite title?
Like, that's coming out right now?
Yeah.
That's tough because I don't read as much anymore.
Do you have a favorite all-time title?
That's also hard because I'm not good at that. But, like, God Country is a big one for me.
God Country?
Yeah, like...
Are you just dropping those Donny Cates
Yeah, I know.
references
Like, I know
left and
I've
right,
mentioned
aren't you?
Donny a lot.
I think you might know him, right?
I do.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're buds. He's
There you
part
go.
of how I got in, and you know, or like how I knew
Yes.
what to do to get in.
Yep.
And he did actually write a foreword for Finger Guns.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're hoping to put that in the trade. You can find it on Twitter. On like, you'd have to scroll pretty far back on his feed, but
Very cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It was really nice. He said a lot of things about me that like I was like, oh, I don't know how to process this. But yeah, like God Country was huge for me. Pretty much anything that like Brian K. Vaughan writes.
Nice.
You know, I love Saga. One of my first indie books that like really got me into indie books and like loving this was We Stand on Guard, which was a mini series by him, and I believe Steve Scroce was the artist who was a storyboard artist on The Matrix, which was
Oh, nice.
yeah, Wicked and Divine, you know, all the big ones.
Yeah.
Watchmen, who doesn't love Watchmen,
Yeah.
you know, things like that.
Graded books or raw copies? What do you prefer?
Raw
copies.
Yeah, just get rid of the slabs. I'm not a fan. I collect to read.
There you go.
So like when I get signatures, like I'm like, write what you want on there.
Yep.
I don't care because I'm not gonna sell it.
Yeah.
I write to collect. That's weird. I read to collect and I collect to read. You know,
Yeah,
like
I got you.
yeah.
Is there someone in the industry you'd like to work with?
Like an artist?
Yes.
Um,
If you could pick one, who would it be?
Like my dream, Danny Warren Johnson.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. He's kind of a buddy, but like his art, in my opinion, is the best on the shelves. It has the most energy. It just has like emotion and energy in every panel. There's so much going on, and it just feels like real, you know. And it's just the most crazy, bombastic things that you can think of.
Yeah.
He can bring to life and do it in the best way possible. So like he would be a dream
Very
to
cool.
work with for sure.
Very nice. If there was one, let's say, big title from Marvel, DC, which one would you like to write for?
Marvel, I'd really like to do like a Doctor Strange book. I think it
Nice.
would be dope. And then, like, I'm not joking, I have an OMAC story. It's DC, call me. DC. OMAC would be great, or Swamp Thing would be another big one from
Nice.
DC for me.
Very cool.
Yeah, I like weird characters.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, these are 10 questions. These are kind of rapid questions,
Okay.
easy answers. And Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold.
You don't even have to finish that sentence.
There you go, man. Superpower, invisibility or flight?
Invisibility.
Duck or beaver?
Duck.
Duck.
Yeah. All the way.
That's an Oregon thing,
Oregon,
by the way. Favorite Kevin Smith movie?
Dogma.
Dogma.
Yeah.
One of my favorites too. Favorite actor who played Batman?
Adam West.
Adam West.
Go with the OG.
Do you pump your own gas?
I do not.
Neither do I.
It's illegal. I'd get it fined, or I don't even know what they would do.
Have you ever had voodoo donuts?
Mm-hmm.
Good,
Yeah.
bad?
Fine. They're
Oh,
fine.
Fine.
Yeah. Like, they're cool. They're gimmicky. I'm glad that they brought about the bacon maple donut. I will forever be thankful. But other than that, like, they taste fine. I've had better.
PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo?
Kind of all, but if I had to pick one, Nintendo.
Nintendo. Favorite game?
Like right now?
Yeah.
Or of all time? Right now, well, I'm replaying DMC3, which that's Val's fault.
Yeah.
Val is a huge Devil May Cry fan.
Nice.
But like, maybe Mario Odyssey was really good on there,
Nice.
or Smash Bros. I
There you
love
go.
Smash Bros.
Best thing about Oregon?
Best thing about Oregon, the beer and the weed. I don't know.
There you go. Keeping it real, folks. Keeping it real.
Yeah. That's our biggest exports now.
That
right?
is. Beer, weed, Tanya Harding, Blazers. That's about it, right?
Blazers.
Is Taco Bell the best fast food ever?
It's up there, man. That's a bold statement, though. Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I'll take fourth meal anytime.
Yeah, there you go. Chalupa. There you go. It's good stuff,
Yeah,
right?
dude, cheesy gordita crunch.
Oh,
That's
man,
what's
it's so
up.
good. You're making me hungry. I'm on a diet right now. You're killing me, man. You know what? That's all we got, man. That's it. That's the whole thing. We covered your book. Let's kind of go back to that really fast.
Sure.
Finger Guns, #1, available now.
Yep. It's out. It's there.
It's out. Add it to your pull list. #2 will be out in probably a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
From Vault Comics.
Yeah.
Your very first title. You did it. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, and thanks for having me on, man. This was fun. I had a good time.
This was fun. I had a good time.
Oh,
I
that's
enjoyed you coming all the way down here. He
Yeah.
lives in Oregon, so he didn't come too far, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, just a couple hours, and I was going to be here anyway. But
Yeah.
I appreciate you inviting me over and having me in, and I get to see behind the scenes.
Yeah, he gets to see the inner workings of the Commerce with Bueller channel, so that's pretty awesome. Real quick, all you got to do to win this book is just watch this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and leave a comment down below, and we'll do a drawing here in a couple weeks, and we'll send it out to you free of charge.
There you go.
So awesome,
Get you
man.
one.
Thank you so much. One more quick pitch for Finger Guns. Go ahead, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, quick pitch would be two kids with troubled home lives discover that they can affect emotions, manipulate emotions with their finger guns, and they trouble and friendship ensues, and many like sing-alongs and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, music. I didn't really bring it up much, but music is secretly kind of like an important thing in the background of this. We do have we made playlists for our characters that you can find on Spotify.
Very cool.
If you search Finger Guns on Spotify, there's a profile. It's got a couple things and it'll say like Wes's issue 1 playlist or whatever. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Justin, thank you so much. Been an honor to have you here. My first guest on the Comic Creators and Coffee Show. So thank you. Thank you, everyone who's watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do.
Do the thing. Turn on the bell.
Turn on the bell. You got it. We'll see you next time. Bye.